On the sun-drenched shores of southern Queensland, man has made what is today Australia's finest playground.
In Australia, a traditional part of the beach scene is the bikini. On the 30 kilometres of Gold Coast beaches in Queensland, the two-piece swimsuit has become the most common sight on every beach around Australia's coastline.
Well, let me take you back to Surfers Paradise in the 50s and 60s. Can you imagine, swaying down Cavill Avenue in your bikini?
Well, it's 60s, it was a fun time, wasn't it? It was out there, lots of colour, lots of
beautiful fabrics, beautiful designs flowing.
We always wore the fashion of Surfers Paradise on our beaches. Wonderful.
I think the vibe back then was definitely you could get exclusive fashions that were ahead of the time. The Women's Weekly labelled Surfers Paradise a sophisticated seaside town. All the magazines started to report on what was happening on the Gold Coast. So the designers in Surfers Paradise at that time, in Cavill Avenue, you had Paula Stafford down by the river end. We had Hilma Weller up the beach end of Cavill Avenue. And then on the Gold Coast Highway, we had Ivy Hassard.
Ivy really loved the Gold Coast, in particular Surfers Paradise. She was a true blue Surfers Paradisian. As a young girl, she always loved pretty dresses, and then suddenly, we don't know why, she suddenly decided, I want to be an aviatrix, I want to fly aeroplanes. So her passion for fashion, I suppose, began when she was flying. She wanted to redesign what lady pilots were wearing. Fabric was very important to her, so she imported a lot of her fabrics from Switzerland, and she only used the very top quality fabric. She loved pure cottons, and in particular with our climate, because they breathe, and beautiful colours, rather simple designs, but the fabric was always magnificent.
In those days, no one was bringing in these beautiful fabrics from Switzerland, and they were out of this world. So different that it was her uniqueness. She was just way ahead of her time, totally way ahead of her time. I mean, you look at designers around the world, she was just ahead. She just had her finger on the pulse.
She personified the importance of being proud of one's femininity, I think. She was colourful, she dressed beautifully. She was a powerful lady, but in a very feminine way.
Well, I think these ladies come together after World War II, and it's kind of like the start of rock and roll. It's more freedom after the war, and it's like everybody's sort of celebrating and living by the ocean. It was just such a perfect scenario for the town to expand into fashion. The model muses of the 50s and 60s have all been wonderful muses for these designers. Bette Arkinstall has been a wonderful mentor and a fabulous model, she was so sought after back in the 60s. Her beauty came through on the camera. Some of her photographs are still timeless, and I love them.
This was taken in front of my house. My house has been well photographed over the years. On the step is Thea Williams.
That is so long ago. All I know is Bette did our hair, but we both look pretty gorgeous. I can tell that that's an Ivy Hassard on Bette. And did you say that's a Mona Crawford? Wow.
You see, it's almost like an Egyptian headdress, but that was a bright yellow and black stripes, that one. It's beautiful, and it's exquisitely made. She loved drama and arts. It was extraordinary when you think about it, the fashions today. We were like dressing up for the world.
And one person responsible for bikini's success is Mrs. Paula Stafford, who first introduced the costume to the country 20 years ago.
Well, Paula Stafford was a remarkable woman. I admire her journey so much. So Paula's workroom and store was in Cavill Avenue, and it was a great shop because it had big windows you could see through, and the fabrics on the walls, and sort of a spiral staircase, and the Rock River wall on the western end, you know, and then you led through to her workroom.
Well, with Paula, who was my mentor really, she employed me as her house model, which really entailed dispatching the bikinis to different parts of the world, and she knew how to promote people and promote her products and promote the Gold Coast, and she did all of it. When Paula first started, her girls were ordered off the beach because their bikinis were too small. I think times have changed, haven't they?
She was very innovative, especially with the bikinis and the matching, you know, jackets and sarongs, and she had a market that specifically flew in, I think, just to buy their beachwear.
But I was always there on tap ready. If she needed somebody to do a photo or something, then I was there. And then even when I wasn't working for her, when I became a meter maid, she'd still use me in parades and other activities. I miss her. She was a great woman.
Hilma Weller had a store in Surfers Paradise. It was called Time, and it was in the Sundial Arcade in Cavill Avenue. She had a little workroom, and she'd be there with a tape measure around her neck and a ciggy out of her mouth. You know, lots of fabrics around the wall, and she was the first one to design this backless bikini.
They were backless, and being backless, you had to hold your shoulders back. It was only a small piece of material, about 2 inches under your arm. If you look closely, you'll see it in the photographs I've got. So it gave you posture, and you really look good because you had abs in the end from holding your stomach in. Nobody's done what she did to a bikini or an outfit. She had that flair.
Well, Hilma Weller was the designer of the meter maid uniform.
Oh, the meter maids, they were icons. They were beautiful. Mrs. Weller dressed them.
And it had like a yoke bikini top with straps that just went around the shoulders. So you had a bare back and just the bikini straps showing there, and bikini bottoms. They were made out of a gold lurex kind of material, which was a nice soft gold, and it had little coins sewn on it, because that's what we were doing, putting coins in the meters so that the tourists wouldn't get booked.
They were the most wonderful asset the Gold Coast ever had. Beautiful, sexy, beautiful, typical Gold Coast.
Speed Week began back in the late 60s as a brainchild of Keith Williams.
My husband Keith, he decided that we should have an international motor racing circuit. He called it Speed Week, and during that time he thought, well, we should have an occasion where women can dress and we can show off cars. We should combine them and make it into the Concours d'Elegance.
Well, the Concours d'Elegance was just fantastic, with cars coming from all over Australia, and also models and designers coming from all over Australia.
The designs, they were just out of this world, where the outfits had to match the car.
My mother, I adore her, but she was extremely persuasive. So I did end up doing modelling for her twice in the Concours d'Elegance. But the professional models like Kathy Ford and Debbie Miller, they took out many sports awards for her in different years.
So Geulah Korman came to town as about the 6th boutique to open in Surfers Paradise. She loved to design beautiful fabrics again. She used a lot of gabardine in some of her designs. She was a big part of the social fabric of the town.
Geulah had an extraordinary gift with fashion. She had a boutique that was like a treasure trove.
I actually modelled a lot for Geulah. I did a lot of her big shows that she was involved with, Israeli designers and people like that. Riviera Casuals, I think, was the first concours I ever did for her. And I was still modelling well into the 90s, and we used to laugh because we were all wearing stockings under our swimsuits by that stage.
Then we had Peg Kirkwood, corner of Hanlon Street and the Gold Coast Highway, with the Claudette Salon.
Peg Kirkwood was very elegant. She said to me, I don't want to see you photographed in the paper in a bikini. She used me a lot with her elegant designs. Paula and Ivy and Geulah and Peg, they all did a lot of work for charity and they all taught me how to do it.
Having a mum with a fashion salon in the 60s was pretty amazing. Mum had her card and her sign for Helene of Surface Paradise, model play and cruise wear and exclusive fabrics under the TAA sign. So Helene was the first Gold Coast fashion designer to export to Canada, and she also exported to Harrods in London and Hawaii.
And Helene would actually design her own prints, and this was very unheard of at that time, because to paint your own print and think you could print it on fabric was something very new. There was not a lot of designers doing that. I think that's a marvellous attribute to the design process back then.
It was very social on the Gold Coast in those days. Mum was mostly working really, really hard and getting things to look just the way she wanted them to, so she wasn't necessarily out the front drinking the champagne, she was out the back dressing the girls.
I never stopped doing things, you know. I had parades every weekend, and I had big luncheons, a big celebration for something. I never stopped working, but it wasn't work when you love something.
In that 1K radius, these designers manufactured, sourced, designed and exported to the world. So I think that's amazing. They are pioneers of our industry, and everyone wanted to be a part of the town and wear these designs, to have something exclusive from Surface Paradise. This was like our Paris, France. This was it, you know, the design capital of Australia was really here.